Good evening, everyone. It's me, Lady T, and I'm excited to have you join us tonight in commemorating National Women's History Month. In planning, we ask ourselves, what should we do? Who should we invite to participate? What will they say? And we decided, who are the women in our neighborhood? So tonight, we have gathered a group of women from all professions, all backgrounds, diverse in every way, for a conversation celebrating Women's History Month. This conversation is going to be facilitated by none other than our 138 director, Sharon Brown. I invite you now to a special treat. Let's take a listen.
Hello, ladies. Welcome to the Now Church Women's Making History Now Roundtable. We have so many women from so many different fields represented today. We are blessed to have so many women at Now Church who are making a huge impact in their communities and beyond.
Good evening. I am Dorothy Hairston Mitchell. I am so glad to be here with you all today and these wonderful ladies. I am a clinical associate professor and supervising attorney at North Carolina Central University School of Law. Yep. Where I supervise students in the juvenile law clinic and teach criminal law, as well as a class called Pleadings and Practice. And that's who I am and where I work.
Well, greetings, everyone. I am Waikisha Glass. Please feel free to call me Keisha. I am an associate professor at North Carolina Central University in the School of Education and the Department of Human Sciences. My background is early childhood education, and I teach undergrad early childhood and for the master's level, human development and family studies. I'm so happy to be here with you ladies.
Good afternoon, ladies. My name is Angela Thornton, and I am a senior business analyst for IQVIA. We do clinical trials research, and I'm in the R&D clinical trials department. And what we basically do is develop new applications that help clinicians do their job better, basically. So I'm on the IT side of things, helping to develop software applications for them.
My name is Dee McDougall, and I am the Global Head of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion for CAPCO, a management and technology consultancy that serves financial institutions. So I lead our strategy and engagement programs around diversity and inclusion globally, and our firm serves banks and other types of financial institutions around the world.
Hello, I'm Dr. Jennifer Cook Middleton. I'm a research associate project manager at the RTI UNC Evidence-Based Practice Center at UNC. And so mainly at our center, we conduct systematic literature reviews on various medical and preventative interventions on drugs, and behavior interventions.
Hi everyone, my name is Bianca Anderson. I am a stay-at-home mom. I am also the co-founder and co-owner as well of Organic Royals. We are a health and wellness company just seeking to make everybody's life better and homemade.
Hello, everybody. I am Ashley Carter. I am a career coach for NCWorks Next Gen. I work with young adults that have barriers between the ages of 17 and 24 here in the Bull City, and I'm a pastor here at Now Church.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Benique Olarentoba Sanders. I go by Dr. O or just Benique. I am an assistant professor of gastroenterology and hepatology at Duke University. My focus is primarily on liver transplantation and increasing access for people of color to liver transplantation. I just want to say that March is actually Colon Cancer Awareness Month, so get your colonoscopies.
Hello, everyone. My name is True Davis. I am a dental student representative at UNC School of Dentistry. I help the students to go from one year to the next, making sure they're successful, mentoring them and coaching them so that they can be the best dentists that we have here in our society.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And as you can see, ladies, just like I said, we have so many ladies right here on this call, all members of Now Church, just making a huge impact in our communities and beyond. Give yourselves a hand. Yes, give yourselves a hand. That's why I told you I am so excited just to have each and every one of you here. Thank you so much for being here. And so tell me exactly what you do at your job. I know that some of you have, each one of you have told us what your title is. Tell me exactly what that looks like day to day.
So for me, we usually develop, I would say, like huge reports. So you usually, how you go to your doctor, you have, and they recommend screenings, like you said, like the colonoscopy screenings. Usually those recommendations are based on reports. And so what we do for systematic literature reviews, we look at all the literature on the topic, develop the report, and look at the harms and benefits of that screening or that drug or that intervention to see if it actually works. And usually the government reviews them and they put out recommendations.
Awesome. Dr. O?
So what I do depends on the week. Most of the times I'm in clinic and seeing patients, which I love. I think that's my forte, is interacting with individuals. I also spend one day out of the week doing procedures, so doing colonoscopies and doing upper endoscopies. I also spend time rotating on the clinical wards at both Duke Hospital, Duke Main Hospital, and Duke Raleigh Hospital. When I'm rotating on Duke Main Hospital, that's when I'm seeing patients who are having complications with end-stage liver disease or patients who just got their liver transplantation. So I am very much integral in their management, medications, or surgery itself in the post-transplant setting. At Duke Raleigh is where I take care of more acute patients. So if a patient was to come in for vomiting up blood, I come in the middle of the night to do the procedure, or I come in the middle of the night to do their colonoscopy. So I am pretty much everywhere interacting with lots of students, either medical students or trainees and that are trying to go into gastroenterology.
Well, I work with young adults that have barriers, and barriers could be high school dropout. It could be criminal history. It actually could be parenting. It could be language barriers, but I help them find sustainable employment. I pay for trainings and help them just get over the barrier, whatever barrier they have, coaching them into a career pathway.
Awesome. Awesome. And Pastor Ashley, the people that you work with, what is the age range?
It's 17 through 24.
Okay. So all young adults. Got it. Got it.
Mhm.
What about you, True?
Yeah, my day-to-day could be various things. I could be on the clinic floor, monitoring them, making sure they're going through all their rotations. I could even be with them. I've been training them on how to clean teeth. I am a dental hygienist, a registered dental hygienist. So sometimes I'm with them, showing them how to use proper instrumentation. I manage their schedules, which is huge. It's 89 of them. And so at any given time, one of them may say, hey, I can't be here this day or that day. So I'm constantly in front of the computer, rearranging things. And anybody who does that kind of work knows if you move one thing, it changes a whole lot of different things. So that's a huge part of my job. But the part that I really enjoy is the mentoring piece for them. Like every day I'm giving advice, and it's like I have 89 kids. I'm giving them advice and just showing them how to be productive adults, students, and citizens.
Awesome. Bianca?
How my day starts. So I'm a stay-at-home mom. So all moms, my day starts as a mom. You're changing diapers, you're getting kids ready and everything. We are homeschooling. We have one baby in kindergarten, one baby that is a rising pre-K. He'll be in 4 come the next curriculum circulation. I also have a 1-year-old that's just running around doing 1-year-old things. And then I keep another baby and other babies on schedule, and they have their curriculum and age. So I'm pretty much a stay-at-home mom / daycare person. All my kids are exceeding in their stages for learning. They're reading, they're doing math, they know their basics. So that's that part. At the same time, I do our business for Organic Royals. We are helping people to do wellness homemade. So we're all about homeopathic, natural remedies, natural ways to keep healthy, to get back healthy, to, just do things as usual, even just starting with your home pantry. So
as a business analyst, what we do is we're truly the liaison between the business, which are the stakeholders, the people who have the ask, what they're asking for in the application or software, and between them and the development team, the people that actually build the software. So my day-to-day can vary, but I work with a lot of offshore teams. So my day can start as early as 6:30, 7 a.m. On meetings with teams in India, because they're about 9 to 9.5 hours ahead of us. So I have on a lot of meetings really early in the morning, which is challenging. And then I have to get on meetings, sometimes I'm on meetings first thing in the morning, and then I have a break, and then I'm on meetings in the afternoon talking to people here on the East Coast. Also, I have people in California, even in Europe. So it just depends. My day varies from day to day. But we basically, we gather those requirements and we document them. So it's a lot of documentation and, flow charting and trying to make things understandable for the development team so they know exactly what the ask is. And then we carry the project all the way through to its actual deployment, so that even working with the development testers and actually doing some testing ourselves of the software to make sure that it's working properly. So I used to be a programmer. I don't do that anymore, but I'm still kind of got my hands kind of close to that type of work still. So, and I love it.
Great. It's so important to love what you do. Great. What about you, Waikisha?
So as a associate professor, Bianca, I was really excited when I was hearing you talk about the early childhood piece, because as you guys heard in my introduction, my background is early childhood. And so my day, some people kind of look at my schedule and they're like, are you really doing anything? Because it is very, very flexible. A lot of my time is spent teaching. And so I am preparing these students to become teachers one of these days. So these individuals, once they graduate from our program, they are then eligible to go and teach pre-K, kindergarten, etc. And so along with teaching, one of the things that I did not say in my introduction is I am also the graduate director of our program. And so that also consists of me doing advising. And so I advise students, make sure that they're taking the classes that they need, of course, keeping them on the right path to reach that milestone that we all, had goals set for graduation time.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I too am a graduate of the North Carolina Central University School of Education. And so I certainly appreciate you and all of the professors over there. I do appreciate that. Thank you. What about you, Dorothy?
My first job is to teach the students. And as I stated before, I teach criminal law, which is a first year law student class. And so I get them fresh into the building. They are like eyes wide open, have no idea what to expect, really, really scared. Which I love that's been with them on that side of it, because I get to help groom them from the beginning, and pour into them from the very beginning and get them to calm down a little bit and see, what it's all about. So that's what I do as a professor. As you all know, being at an HBCU, we wear many hats. And so I also have to do the research. Well, not one of the other duties that we have, as Waikisha has mentioned, is that we also have to do research and all of that good stuff. She didn't want to say it, but I'm going to toot her horn. She has done a great job of just some wonderful research and some wonderful articles and books that she has produced. I'm super proud of her. That's why she's been promoted, and she didn't want to say it, but I'm going to toot her horn for her, like I said.
Thank you, Dorothy. That's great. That's awesome. And what about you, Dee?
So, some people, when we talk about diversity and inclusion in corporate spaces, so my role really is around making sure that folks who are underrepresented in whatever industry, so specifically now in consulting or financial services, that we increase the representation. So women, people of color, folks from different backgrounds, differently abled, so on and so forth. So there's a piece of that that's around increasing the representation. So working with HR, on talent acquisition and then also talent development. So how do people grow their careers? But then also, how do we help people who are already within organizations? How do we get them more fluent in talking about diversity and inclusion related matters? And so how can I help them understand more about people's cultures and backgrounds? And so I spend a lot of time being a coach, an internal diversity coach, the person that people can come and ask questions. Spend a lot of time also paying attention to what's happening in the world. So there are a lot of things that have happened, whether it was the most recent issues around anti-Asian violence. So helping the folks within our company figure out how to respond. So creating safe spaces for colleagues to come together and have a conversation about race and ethnicity at work. I did a lot of that last summer after the murder of George Floyd. So bringing people together from different backgrounds, helping them become comfortable and again, more fluent in being able to have conversations around race and difference at work. I think a lot of folks were raised in a way that you didn't see difference. I help people understand that saying things like, I don't see color, that isn't a good thing. I help people understand that we want to embrace and value difference. And so we can't just say that, we have to teach people how to do it. And so it's my job to teach people how to be comfortable having that, having those conversations and doing it on a day-to-day basis.
Great. Indeed. Tell us, and I like that you said that you recognize that is your gifting and that is something that God has given to you to do what you do with diversity and equity and inclusion. Tell us what made you interested in that field.
Yeah, so I'm from Raleigh originally. And so in the neighborhood where I grew up, my family was the only Black family. So I had nothing but white friends for a big part of my life. And so I was always the Black friend that my white friends would ask questions, but I knew that they were asking questions because they were genuinely curious. And I joke about macaroni and cheese because in my household growing up, macaroni and cheese was a side, but in their household, it was dinner. And so that's just one thing that was different. But I grew up talking about difference. And so as things changed in corporate spaces and working in banking, and I worked in some other industries as well, I was usually the only Black person in the room. And as I got more senior in my career, I was definitely the only Black woman in the room. And so coming from the foundation that I had, being a talker, being someone who loves people, it all kind of just came together where I was able to ask questions, talk about things in a way that I wasn't accusing anyone. I genuinely was curious about, well, why are we only recruiting? Like, why are we only going to UNC when we have Central right down the street? And I think there was a lack of awareness for some people. And so I wasn't criticizing what they were doing. I was asking questions and providing solutions. So my ability to do that opened them up more to me. And so I was able to do it more frequently and make a career out of it. So I think that's just, how I grew up, what I'm comfortable with, making things approachable and kind of noticing and being aware of my surroundings. I think that's how it came together for me. And really over the past probably 4 or 5 years, this has become a hot topic for companies because there's pressure from our community. And I always joke about folks who are younger and earlier in their careers. They ask questions. They'll come on a job interview and say, okay, well, I looked on your website and I didn't see any women in leadership. What are you doing about that? Or I looked on your website and I don't see any people of color. What are you doing about that? And a lot of these leaders of these companies, they don't know what to do. So they need people like me to help bridge that gap. And so that's kind of how I got into it. And I see a lot more people doing that work now.
Great. Thank you for sharing that. And True, I know that you said that on a day-to-day basis, you may have 89 or 90 students that you're working with. Tell us what made you interested in your field.
So I first started in dental field over almost 30 years ago. My auntie saw that I was good with my hands. I had finished high school and had some odd jobs. And she told me, you need to go into dental lab technician. You need to be a dental lab technician. And so I went to Durham Tech and I finished the program there as a dental lab technician. A dental lab technician makes dentures and partials and crowns and things like that in the lab. And after a while, I rolled on in the dental field. I became a dental assistant, went to school for that, and then went on to be a dental hygienist. The reason why I continued on in the field is because I just had a love for seeing people look better and feel better about themselves. And then eventually I became a supervisor and a patient care coordinator, and now doing the work that I'm doing now because I love people. And I feel like Dee said, it's a calling, you know, it's more than a job. Mentoring people is something that I love to do. And so dentistry, I've been, like I said, almost 30 years, and I plan to retire in dentistry.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing that, True. I really appreciate it. And Dr. O, if you would tell us what led you into gastroenterology.
So I'll start off saying what led me into medicine was because I was, I think growing up, I didn't know that I wanted to do anything else but become a doctor. And looking back, it was mostly because the village of people that were responsible for raising me in Maryland, 2 women were physicians. And it just shows how much exposure means so much. And then at that time, you know, they used to take us to the hospital for no other reason, but except they just didn't have childcare. It wasn't like expose you to the hospital. It was literally, we don't have a babysitter and you guys are with us, so you're gonna come to the hospital, and we got to hang out with the nurses or hang out in the cafeteria. And so from that moment on, from early childhood, I always felt that I wanted to be a physician. The reason for me why I went into gastroenterology was more personal. My father had chronic hepatitis B, and he unfortunately passed from a major upper GI bleed. And so I knew I wanted to do medicine. I didn't know if I wanted to do gastroenterology because I didn't know if it was going to be too much of an emotional attachment. Every time I see a patient that's coming in with this, I'm seeing my father. But, you know, I think God just leads you to the path that you need to be on, because I just gravitated to it naturally. I love what I do. I love taking care of these patients. I feel like every single one of those patients that I'm able to get, you know, when they have end-stage liver disease and have these complications and are able to eventually get a transplant, it feels like I am, you know, taking care of my father by taking care of them. So I cannot see myself possibly doing anything else. And I think it's full circle, because I know during my training at Duke, I was really afraid literally to see these kinds of patients, because I was like, I'm going to be too emotional. I'm going to be too emotionally attached. And I think that's what makes me I don't think I'm a great physician, a good physician. What makes me a good physician is the fact that I can actually have that attachment. And there's sometimes in medicine, they try to tell you to split apart that attachment, not get too much emotionally involved, but that's what makes me me, and that's what makes me enjoy my job, and that's what makes me become the biggest patient advocate for my patients, because they remind me of my parent.
Right. Thank you for sharing that, Dr. O. And one thing that Dr. O did mention is that she just loves what she does. And on a day-to-day basis, although it may look different every day, and we will say that you are a great doctor. God created you to be a great doctor. And we will say that here, that you are a great doctor. So thank you for sharing that, Dr. O, and how much you love it. Bianca, tell us why you love to do what you're doing.
Well, I love to do what I do because I love my kids. I love being a mom. I am actually a teacher. I have my degree in early childhood education, so I can definitely, all y'all educators here, yes, I totally, I'm with y'all. But I've always loved kids. I've always loved babies, and just the start, like 0 to 5. And not to say I don't like kids after 5 years old, but yeah. But that's just been my specialty. As soon as I hit, well, even in high school, I was able to take classes through Durham Tech and start getting my college credits towards my early childhood education degree, and loved it. We got to visit daycares. We got to go to elementary schools and help the teachers there. We got to see how things work even before I was actually working there. So I have always had a passion for kids, and being a church kid, not a pastor kid, but a church kid. We're in church all the time. So I got to work in the nursery, and the ladies that have known me from forever, I got to work in the nursery before the set age that they would set. So, you know, you had to be like, I think it was like 12 or 13. Well, I was able to work in there when I was like 9. So I just love babies, and I was great with babies. So I don't know, I guess I was just born with it. I love kids, I love education. And now here, being in wellness and in natural remedies and things like that. I actually got into it because my great grandmother was she was a healer woman. So she was a lady in church. They told me she had on all white. I don't know the exact name for it because I grew up non-denominational, but she would wear all white. And she was the one that they would call to come pray for people, to break curses, to exercise, and cast out them devils. And she would also be the one that people came to for herbs and natural healing and things. She was that lady. So I never met her. I just have heard stories about her. So I guess my curiosity with things would stem from that, from my knowledge of her. My mommy is also, she's a nurse. And I can definitely relate to Dr. O when she said she'd go to the hospital. I was there at UNC. My mom worked in the hematology oncology clinic. I'm probably totally messing up that name, but we were there and we were rolling on stools down the hallways, you know, seeing the people come in, and in the cafeterias, we were there. So we definitely noticed the health side of things, and seeing my mommy's passion for making people better, for helping, you know, these people come here when something's not right, and we try to make it right, you know. So, and yeah, so that's really where my passion for it. And then my husband Marcus and I, we really got into health and wellness after we got married and started our family around 2015 or so. We learned about Dr. Sabi and his work. And I mean, it just took off from there. It was like a plethora of knowledge, and to really be able to help people to make those more better choices towards avoiding having to go into the hospitals, or, you know, things like that, avoiding certain illnesses that were caused by, let's say, foods or certain lifestyles, or things that you can remedy by exercise or by eating better, or taking certain natural supplements, you know, things like that. So, but that's really where it all started for me: babies and health and wellness. That's me.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing, Bianca. And now I'm going to go to Angela. Angela, tell me the same. Tell me why you like to do what you're doing.
I just always knew from the time I was a little girl, I did not want to be a nurse like my brother. I don't know why. I think that's a great profession, but it just wasn't me. And she thought I'd grow out of it, but I never did. So I always was good in math. Math was always my favorite subject. I always excelled in it. And in starting to think about career paths when I got to junior high, people were telling me, well, you should go into computer science. I didn't know anything about it. So I started to do some research back then. And I read an article about robotics, and that just piqued my interest so much that I knew that's what I wanted to go into. I wanted to be a roboticist. So fast forward to North Carolina Central University, I started off as a physics major. Physics and I did not get along. So I said, So I was taking so many math courses anyway. The professors and my counselor was like, well, why don't you just move your major over to a math major? So I did that. Computer science was up and coming as well. And so I took several computer science courses that allowed me to get like a concentration in it. I didn't want to be a math teacher, but I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. So I actually went to graduate school at our rival school, North Carolina A&T, but they were graduating a lot of more Black engineers at that time than any other school in the country. I believe that still might be there, probably up there at the top of that list for that. So I wound up going to A&T, and I thought I still wanted to do mechanical engineering. And I feel like God really puts people in your life at the right time. So I was there looking into, I had just talked to the chair of the mechanical engineering department, and he was, telling me kind of discouraging things, saying that, you don't have enough undergraduate credits in mechanical engineering for you to go and get a master's. You'd have to go back and take, so many courses. So I was kind of looking down and on my way out the door, and one of the counselors, a lady, she saw me and saw the look on my face, and she was like, "What's wrong?" And I said, I told her my story, and she said, "Let me see your transcript." And she looked at my information. She said, "With all this math and some of the computer science courses that you have, I think your best bet is to get a master's in computer science and go that track." And I said, "Huh, I hadn't thought about that." So that's what I wound up doing. I wound up getting a master's in computer science. And at that time, it was in the School of Engineering at A&T. And that changed my life. I mean, that started it off. And I've been in this career for 25 years. I started off as a programmer. After a while, I kind of got burnt out doing that because you don't get to talk to anybody. And as you can see, I'm real bubbly. I like to talk to people. So somebody that I was working with, a coworker, told me, "You know what, you'd be good for a business analyst role because you have the technical background, but you're a people person." And I didn't know anything about the business analyst role. So I did my research. And I'd say if not but God, just putting people in my path along the way and helping me to, do the research and just have the courage to get out there and apply for certain positions and getting them. And I wound up in this role, and I love it. I've been in it for last 11 years. So that's been my path, and it's been challenging. Like Dee was saying, there's not a lot of women in STEM. There's more women in the business analyst role, but when I was a programmer, oftentimes I was the only woman, the only African-American woman, or African-American, I should say, on the team. And you talk about challenges. I mean, I could write a book, and maybe one day I will, but I have faced some real diversity challenges as a Black person and as a woman in IT. But, through God, I made it through, and I'm here today, and I love what I do, and I try to talk to the young people to tell them, hey, don't be afraid of the STEM careers, because we need more of you. We need more of our minority children and women in the STEM careers. So I try to mentor as much as I can.
Thank you for sharing that journey, Angela. And when I was listening to you talk, and you talked about even when you were younger and your mom was a nurse and how you arrived at what you're doing now. And Dorothy, I'm just curious to know, just listening to that, did your goals, even when you were a child, do they align to what you're doing now professionally? When you were a child, did you want to be an attorney? Tell us more about that.
Oh, that is so amazing that you would ask me that question in that way. Because I was sitting here thinking, like, what am I going to say when she gets to me, right? And I actually did start off as a very young child wanting to be a lawyer. But it started because I was the hugest daddy's girl that you can think of. And I think I probably still am in a lot of ways, because I have a husband. My dad is like, you can't be a big daddy's girl like you used to be. But because my daddy he always wanted to be a lawyer. And so anything that my daddy wanted to do and any, things that he liked, I liked, and I wanted to be. So I started off that way. But because I remember one day I said, people would say, what do you want to do when you grow up? Or what do you want to be when you grow up? And I used to say, I want to be a teacher. And my daddy used to say, there's no money in teaching. You know what I mean? Like, that's what he was saying. I was like, what? It was way back then. I know that's what they said, And so I was like, well, what did you want to do, Daddy? You know what I mean? And he's like, I always wanted to become a lawyer, but I didn't get to do that. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna be a lawyer. That's how it started. But then I actually learned to love it or have that aspiration for myself. And so my dad would put me in like any program, any kind of little anything that he could find that had anything to do with law. And so I was on mock juries and trials and participating in little programs when I was like 9 and 10 years old. And so I'm like one of those examples of when you see something that a kid wants to do and you pour into them and it helps to grow, like I'm a prime example of that, because my dad did everything he could do to grow that desire in me. And so it was really cool to see that I wanted to continue on with that. So when I got to I was that kid in high school that was like, can y'all just give me my high school diploma so I can get to college, so I can get to law school? And then I got to college, it was like, can y'all just give me my diploma, my degree so I can get to law school? Like everything was like, I'm just trying to get to law school. You know what I mean? And so once I got to law school, it was like, yes, I have arrived. I am in law school. Like it was the best thing ever to me. And because I have actually worked in a law firm since I was 16 years old. So I started off as what they would call a runner. And it's funny when I share this story with young law students, because I tell them I was in a law firm back at the time where I was the one that was having to drive around and be the courier, where I was taking the packages from one law firm to another law firm, but they didn't have Uber and, all these little carrier services and all of that stuff. And I would go to the bank because you didn't have mobile banking and all of that good stuff. Or I would go to the post office and pick it up and, do all of that. So I learned about a lot of like law firm stuff as a very young person. And so by the time I got to law school, I had a lot of practical knowledge that a lot of law students didn't have. And so it made a lot of law school classes make much more sense to me, because I was able to, marry the practical knowledge and the book knowledge. I always promised my dad that I would always try to every single day be a positive entity in other people's lives, and that I would never compromise my morals and my values.
I love it. I love it. And God is we know that he's just so awesome like that. And you landed exactly where you were supposed to be. And I just love hearing that. And one thing that you mentioned is that your journey started with your father and everything that he was doing and what he thought that you should do. And I know that we have another daddy's girl on this phone and on this call. And I know that we probably have many, but one that I have seen is Ashley Carter. And I know that she loves her daddy. And so Ashley, please tell us, Pastor Ashley, please tell us as well, is this something that you envisioned that you would be doing as a child?
That I always want to do. I always want to help people. I do enjoy the age that I'm working with. I really do enjoy, like that 17, 18, 19, 20, once you get up to 21, 22, 23, and what is like, I got this, I know what I'm doing, that type of thing. But that's kind of how I got into it. I tell my boss, like, nobody asked me if I wanted to do this or not. So I'm like, it must have been God, because there's a ministry aspect to it as well.
Great. And that's so awesome. And I just love how just listening to all of you, and that the journey may have started one way and you end up where you are today. But just like Angela was saying, that her mom was a nurse and then she ended up being something different. And Pastor Ashley, what you were saying, and Dorothy, knowing that her dad wanted her to go into law, and it just listening to all of it is just so amazing how you get to where you are right now. And I know that our time is drawing near, and I do have just a few more questions that I would like to ask, and I promise I won't keep you much longer. But Waukesha, I did want to go to you and ask that you are so busy, and you talked about things that you're doing at the North Carolina Central University School of Education. And so just tell us, just ever so briefly, how do you manage to just balance work life and personal life? How do you have that work-life balance?
Wow, it's so funny that you asked me that question because I'm literally still trying to figure it out. Like, how do I literally balance, the work life and the personal life? And as you guys probably know, I am single with no children. And so it is, a lot easier for me when it comes to balancing that. And so, I spend a lot of my time because I do teach classes. This semester, for example, I teach class on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And so I spend my Mondays and my Fridays just kind of doing some grading, I am kind of, a little behind when it comes down to research just because of the current pandemic that we're kind of experiencing. I'm not able to really focus in on that as much. And so I am able to spend a little bit more time when it comes down to making sure that I'm able to teach my classes, do the grading, et cetera. And so I'm really still trying to find that balance of, working and cutting it off, because one of the things that I have really found a hard time since we've been in this pandemic is turning it off.
And I know, and I appreciate you sharing that. And I know that it is a work in progress. Dee, I will ask that you jump in with that same question. How do you find that balance, that work-life balance?
Oh, I've just accepted that there is no balance. And so what I do is I really try to prioritize. And then I also outsource whatever I can. I saw, it was an International Women's Day presentation in Durham, probably 4 or 5 years ago. And a woman was on a panel and she had built a really successful career. And she said, look, every pay raise I got, every bonus I got, I put money away to pay somebody to do the thing to get my own time back. And so at that point, I didn't really understand it. But now the life that I live, whatever I can pay someone else to do, where I can get my time back is what I do. Because what I found myself stressing about was I have all this work to do, I have all these nonprofit obligations. I want to spend time with my friends and my family. And then I was stressing about when am I going to do all this other stuff? So I just decided that I wasn't going to stress about it. And I was going to put some money towards buying my time back. So I just figured that there is really no balance. And so I try to prioritize what's most important to me. And then I also, you can't boil the ocean. There's always going to be more work to do than you have time. And so sometimes you have to just cut it off.
Great. And I think that that's important. And I like that you said that about how you figured out how to get that balance. And sometimes you have to outsource some things if people are able to do that. And not everybody may not be able to do that, but just learning to find that balance. And it's so important. And lastly, I think I'm going to jump to Dr. Jennifer and just tell us, Dr. Jen, how do you balance? Tell us how that looks for you.
Oh, in the middle of a pandemic with 2 kids, virtual learning and working day and night.
Yes.
The outsourcing, Dee. So with my 2 children, I have learned to outsource, like cleaning their bathroom or washing their clothes. The bed might not be made the way I want it to be made, but it's one less thing I have to do, just making them do more things. And in terms of the balance and giving myself time, I try to take joy in the small things. If it's only watching that one show that I TiVo'd or DVR'd on the television, just that 1 hour, or taking just a little bit of time to go to the gym, that's about as good as it's going to get these days.
Yes. Yes, I understand that. Ladies, thank you so much. And before we end, I do have one more question, and it's going to be something that you're just going to have to just go with. It's not even work related. And so I know that on this Zoom call, we have so many of you that are just so busy, and you cover so many important fields, and you're doing so much from day to day. And just like you all were just talking about that work-life balance and how to initiate and even find that. And we're just going to, in 15 to 30 seconds, True, I'm going to start with you. Tell me, what do you like to do for fun outside of work? Tell me what a date fun looks like. Tell me what it looks like. I see those smiles. I see them. Tell me what it looks like outside of everything that we have talked about today. What does fun look like for you? And I know your job is fun. I know it's fun, but tell me what else is fun for you.
I really enjoy spending time with my grandkids and FaceTiming with them. I don't really have like a hobby right now. I don't do a lot of TV or anything like that. I can't get into any of these shows lately. So I spend a lot of time talking to my grandchildren, spending time with my husband, quality time, because I did have to get that work-life balance.
That's right.
It's spend time with my husband, but that's the thing that I really like to do. And I also sell $5 bling. I have fun doing that as well.
I love it. I love it. That paparazzi jewelry. I love it. Fun. I love it. All right, Dorothy, I'm gonna go to you for your 15 to 30 seconds. Tell me what's fun for you.
I'm over here laughing because, okay, I'm gonna start off with I love spending time with these boys because they keep laughing all the time, especially the little one. He is a dancing machine and comedian at all times. So that's the boys and family side. But I'm gonna be fully transparent. I busted out laughing when you asked that question because I am into reality TV and the ratchet kind. Okay, I'm gonna just be honest. And it's because it is so far from my real regular life that it just relaxes me for some reason. I'm like, that is not me. That is not my life. I would never be that woman. I would never be that person. I would never find myself in that situation. And I have fun. I mean, I laugh at it. You know what I mean? It keeps me in a normal side of things. You know what I mean? Because I have so much serious stuff going on all the time. That reality, I'm gonna just call it reality TV. All that, I mean, any kind, y'all. Like, I'm into stuff that, you know, you're just like, why are you watching this? Like, I ask myself, like, why am I watching this show? But it's because it is just
all right
TV, and it's so far from my regular life that it keeps me laughing. So that is what I do for fun right now.
All right. Hey, we all have something. Pastor Ashley, I'm gonna jump over to you.
You know, I'm laughing at Judge Dorothy. I'm thinking about that Married at First Sight. I don't know if you watched that, but
yes, I do.
That's about as far as I go. I can't do a lot of ratchet and all of that. But I have a very small circle of girl friends, and I like you just hanging with them. We can be in the house or we can be going to the spa, but whatever we're doing, it's a very small circle of them. But I just enjoy. I'm a people person, so you know, any cookout where there's a wobble going on, but those few friends that I hang out with, you know, just spending time with them, that's what I like to do.
Love it. What about you, Dee?
First thing is I love laughing with Jason, so we have a really good time. Y'all might not see it, but he's super silly. So we have a really good time laughing and hanging out with the boys. And then we have a pandemic pod that we have put together since last year. So I really enjoy hanging out with them. And when I'm able, my family. I'm really a family girl too. So spending time with people that I love and care about and laughing and letting loose.
I love it. Yeah. What about you, Dr. O?
So the first one is I love to travel, and this pandemic has made it really hard. So sometimes I just go online, just pretend I'm about to book a trip, almost to the part where you want to put your credit card in and then just cancel it. But it makes me feel really good for a couple of seconds. And just like Dorothy, I am a reality TV show. I will watch every single one for the same exact reason that she said. My job is so serious. Everybody's like, I can't believe that you follow these people. My job is so serious that I just like to just sit down and watch mindless, trashy TV. The trashier it is, the better it is for me.
I'm so with you, Dr. O.
It allows you to like decompress just a little bit, right?
Yes.
Yeah. What about you, Bianca?
I love being with family. I'm a family girl. I'm a country girl, Bull City, Durham. Yes, I love being with my babies. I love being with my hubby. I love going to mommy's house and chilling with her. We will watch movies. We eat sweets. I love painting toenails and fingernails with my girls. My boy need to go play with daddy, but I like the girly things. I can't get down with ratchet TV though. I'll be looking like sideways like, no, she didn't. Everyone posting on social media, but yeah, that's what I do for fun. I'm a home girl, so yeah.
Love it. Love it. Angela?
So one of the things I like to do is, hang out with my son. He's 18, Baron, and we love to go to the movies. So we haven't been able to do that during the pandemic. But we have HBO Max, so that has filled in the gap there. So we watch a lot of movies, but travel would definitely be my thing. Everybody who knows me well knows I love to travel. They see my posts on Facebook. I've been to Dubai. That's the farthest place I've been. I love to travel. I cannot wait to get back on a plane to go somewhere. And then also, I love decorating. That's like, if I could do anything else with my life, I would be an interior decorator. So I love HGTV and I watch it all the time. So that's my last.
Me too. I love some HGTV. I love it. And what about you, Waikisha?
So for myself, I love to travel. I am originally from Mississippi. And so going back, spending time with my family, oh my God, I absolutely love it. I can't wait. I will be going to see them soon. So yeah, it's just, I'm the youngest of 4 girls. And so it's just good when we're, able to go back home. Mom spoils us. And so, I just enjoy that moment. And of course, hanging out with my girlfriends, definitely enjoy that as well. As some of you ladies have stated, I am a people's person, love to be around people, love to have fun, love to put smiles on people's face. And so in my spare time, that's what I enjoy doing.
Got it. Got it. And Jennifer?
Family movie nights, especially those old movies I watched as a kid with my kids now, and eating anything with lots of sugar.
Guilty. I laugh because I'm guilty. I love it. I love it. Well, ladies, this has been our time together. I so appreciate each and every one of you. We have so many phenomenal women at Now Church, and I just thank each and every one of you.
Thank you everyone for joining us this evening for 138 Online. Those are the women in our neighborhood. And we are so excited that we were able to celebrate National Women's History Month in this way.
And I think the cool thing about it is you have women in your neighborhood who have a story that you don't know about.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I thought it was just so cool to hear the stories. These are the women in our neighborhood, whether they are on billboards, whether they're on TV, whether they're on some type of screen. They've had some great impact in our culture, in our society, and we want to salute you. I give you a salute, and I salute you also. These are the women in the neighborhood.
Okay.
In the neighborhood. Hey, in the neighborhood. 138. Y'all off the chain. See y'all later.